This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to a review of Ahsoka Tano's T-6 Jedi Shuttle. This is a set based off of Ahsoka, and I will warn you, I will probably be discussing plot details from the first 3 episodes of Ahsoka. So if you're not caught up, I'd recommend waiting and catching up on it. But I will not be discussing anything from episode 4, which releases tonight. And overall, I think this set is good, but it could be a lot better. I think it does have some flaws, which I will be discussing, but that is not in the minifigure department. So let's start off looking at the incredible figures to this set. Starting off with Professor Huyang. And this figure is, it looks incredible. He has a uniquely molded head. As you can see, he has a very nice torso and legs. And this wrench. Going around to his backside, he has this little backpack build. And if you also want, you could switch it around for, like in episode 3, to attach a back piece, but you would need a separate one for that. The most common figures that came in on was Outriders from Infinity War, Endgame, and a few other ones, but also has been seen on figures like Doc Ock. But if you go, you can attach that and attach forearms to have lightsabers popping out for the training sequence from episode 3. But obviously you would have to remove this and have it switch around. But yeah, it's a really cool figure. Really nice with the details, and it's cool to have a character that was originally so obscure from a single arc of Clone Wars be put in a more prominent role and actually have a minifigure of him. I think the same goes for a figure like Toto 360 from the Justifier. The second, and honestly my favorite figure from this, is Ahsoka. And she's a near perfect minifigure, and I'll explain that in just a moment. But she has 2 clear lightsabers, which is a lot better than the other one from Rebels, which had 2, sort of odd-colored blue lightsabers. Probably based on concept art. Really detailed torso, arm printing, and back printing. She has kind of a smile on one side, and her Lekku are honestly kind of annoying to get off. But if I pop it off, you look at the back where she has a more angry expression. And the only minor problem I have is the lightsabers. And I think that having just a basic lightsaber hilt is something they shouldn't have done. And instead, sorry about the jump cut, a bunch of stuff just fell down and it took me way too long to get it up. So, as I was saying, the pieces they should have replaced it with is these lightsaber hilts used by Ventress and was used by Rebels Ahsoka and a few other figures. I think that this makes the figure perfect. I did get these separately for a custom Ahsoka I originally had assembled until this set was revealed. But yeah, honestly, I think these look a lot better in her hands. And just the comparison between the two, it gives her the curve, and you could also have one lightsaber held sort of backwards by her, like she typically does. And yeah, honestly, it's a really cool figure, and as I said, it's my favorite one of these. And that slight improvement is just something I think you need to get. Our next figure is Sabine Wren, and I have her with the most wonderful accessories she could have in her typical depiction, which is she usually doesn't have her helmet on in the show, at least up to this point. She has Ezra Bridger's lightsaber in one hand, a blaster pistol in the other. She does have a second blaster pistol if you want, but she has pretty nice printed Mandalorian armor, nothing on her arms. She's a smile on one side and a more angry expression on the other. And if you pop off her hair, you can also place her Mandalorian helmet on, and Yeah, honestly, I think it's a really nice looking figure. I think her Mandalorian helmet is cool. Not as unique as it was in Rebels, but I still think it looks really nice and fits with the character really well. And it's a very nice inclusion. As I said, the figures are great in this. Arm printing would have been cool, but I don't think she really needs it. The final and coolest of the figures, of at least for being unique, is Merrick the Inquisitor. And we currently do not know who this is. Of course, there are theories that this is Starkiller, or this is Ezra Bridger, or maybe it's some kind of clone. And the mystery has been built up with him having a voice modulator, and from the actor just being simply, I think, a stunt actor. Well, yeah, he has, of course, to keep up the mystery, no head. Well, no printed head under it, just a black head. He has this really cool helmet on. Very nice Inquisitor armor that's very rusty. He has the Inquisitor lightsaber, and going to the backside, it's really cool. You can place the Inquisitor lightsaber on his back. And, of course, there's no sabercopter option for this, since you can't, spin it. But yeah, honestly, he's a really cool figure and a nice inclusion. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about the figures. All the figures are incredible. But now to go on to the main build of it. And my most major complaint about it is, honestly, I think this set should have been $20 to $30 more, just so it could fit just a little bit more in. If we take a look at it, this cockpit can only fit one minifigure, and that is pretty disappointing to me, especially considering the original one, I think, could have fit up to 3 to 4 figures, but at least 2 at a minimum. I do have the cockpit piece to that. I did have the set initially, but it fell apart over the years. And as you can see, this cockpit piece, which would have been about the size of the cockpit, maybe just a little bit smaller, could easily fit in. If I pop out the original cockpit, you can see I could just simply fit it in between these, and I'm sure there'll be a modification way, and I may try to do that, where I build up a separate cockpit to fit all 3 figures in, using this original piece, but for now I'll just show off it with its original build. And I think that, especially if they made this maybe $20 to $30 more, there's a few things they could have fixed. Maybe take these little pieces out, so you could have the cockpit be, able to fully fit in the middle. But looking at it, the top side is really detailed. It has some very cool looks and this really nice pattern going across all the way to the end, and the same goes on this side. The center of the ship does have these little areas that you can pop open. Over here you have this little build which you can remove, and also take Yang's wrench, place it inside, and then you can go and place it back on the interior. And I'm fine with the interior not being accessible to minifigures, but I just wish that they actually did, have it be big enough to fit others. And over here, you can fit Ahsoka's lightsabers in this area. And I'm supposed to put Sabine's blaster pistols over here. I don't think there is a point to put Ezra's lightsaber. You could try fitting it in there, and it does fit. And you could also take Sabine's helmet, put the rangefinder down just to help it fit in, and slide it in here. And it all does fit in. But yeah, honestly, I think that, as I said, I'm fine with this back area not really having any place to put figures, but I wish you could fit all 3 figures inside of this. It does have the ability to go into its flight mode, which I need to pan the camera up. It can do, but it has no real way for you to, keep it there. Looking at the backside of the wings, this is the most disappointing part, where it's just a very plain gray area, and it's meant to be seen from, these different angles. So I think this really could have been improved if they just went and took this red pattern from here and matched it down here, going across to the bottom. I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't do that, and is another problem with it. The bottom side, you technically can open these a little bit, but they're held in. And this bottom area is very annoying to build. I did make, a few mistakes with it, and if I ever, make a little mistake, especially with this area, it's not super clear in the instructions exactly how to place it in. And I did have it pushed a little too far out so that this piece over here could not go in. And I had to keep moving around, but this area down here, if you have these parts removed, is very flimsy. You can also, pop these out. Like, once this is built, it is pretty sturdy down here. But as you're building it, this area is very flimsy and falls apart really easily. You can pop these out to have stability for when the ship is landed. So with the other jump cut, I got interrupted, but as I was saying, you need to have those out to kind of stabilize it when it's landed. And even then, it doesn't stay up super well. That's another problem I think it has. But overall, this is a really good set. It does need some improvements, and I might be experimenting a little bit with other pieces I have to build a bigger cockpit to it. But as I said, overall, it's pretty good, and I'm showing what it's like. Let's try to stand this up without the landing gear being put in. And yeah, honestly, it's kind of bad. But so I think it's a good set, has incredible figures, but I think if this was made maybe $20-$30 more, had a bigger cockpit, the bottom of the wings were fully put out, and maybe they also included an HK, I don't know what number it's at. I just think of HK-47, what number I talk about, and maybe the HK-50s from Knights of the Republic 2, but they were the modern HK droids put in it. This would have been a perfect set. Of the 3 Ahsoka sets I've seen, this is the weakest one, but it has the best figure inclusion. Weakest one in terms of builds, but best figure inclusion, since you only get 3 major characters, 3 main characters of it, but you also get a pretty major villain. And yeah, honestly, that's my thoughts on it. I do want to know what you think. And just a fun thing, you could also, depending on how you look at it. Oh, and it looks like you can't put all those lightsabers together because it kind of forces this open. But yeah, honestly, if you go and you put all these together, and depending on, your perspective, you can either have it look like the cockpit is rotating, or if you hold it from here, well, you can't really hold it from there. Well, if you hold it from around here, the wings are rotating. Last cool detail is it has this little turret at the back, which Sabine does use in episode 3 to shoot down a bunch of loyalists to them. And the engines look pretty good also. Looks nice from the backside. And I'll just pan up to show what it looks like from the backside, which does give a nice view. But yes, again, I really wish they had the bottom side detailed and made the cockpit just a little bit larger. I may experiment with my own pieces and see if I could do that. I'm not going to be using any pieces from this part of the shuttle, but we'll see what I could do. And honestly, I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Legends and Theories.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.